Okay, so I've already opened up the folder here. I'm going to create a file and let's name it index.html, and then the boilerplate. And how do I start my JavaScript? Like, what's the tag I need to put? What's the tag in order to start the JavaScript? And where, yeah, script, and where do I put it? And no, we have style in the head, in the body, and specifically where in the body. There's a special place for the script tag, so it's before the closing tag. Yeah, before. So why is that? Why before the closing tag? Because we want HTML to load first before the JavaScript, because all of the functionality is applied on HTML. So that's why we need HTML to load first before the JavaScript. Okay, so let me make it go live. And yes, okay, so now today we are going to learn a new function that is used for testing, and that is alert. Now alert is like console log, but we are not going to see it here, okay, not in the console. We'll have an alert pop up right in the top, in the middle of the screen. So how is that? So let's say I'm going to say alert and then salam world, save it. So yeah, so just like that, we have a pop-up that says salam word or whatever you want it to say inside the parenthesis. So now our JavaScript is working. So let us start today's topic. So today's topic is really important, like really important, because all of the backend, all of the database is dependent upon the topic we are going to study today, inshallah. So the topic is arrays. Okay, arrays, ARRAYS, and objects. Okay, so we have arrays and objects. So what are arrays or what are objects? We'll discuss one by one, inshallah. But first I have a question, and that is, what do we use when we want to store something? What do we use in JavaScript when we want to store something?
Variables?
Variables, exactly. So how many values does a variable hold?
One.
One, exactly. So for example, I have 10 values and I want to store them somewhere. So what's the way until now, things we have discussed until now? So how can we do that? We have to make 10 variables in order to hold those 10 things. For example, let's scale it up to maybe 100 things or 1,000 things. Would we just make 1,000 variables or 100 variables just to store those 1,000 things? No, that's when arrays come. So when you have a lot of stuff, like maybe thousands and hundreds and thousands of and so on, when you have that kind of stuff, you use arrays. So what is an array? Array is a list of elements, like it holds a lot of elements in a single place. That's what array is. Okay, is the theory part clear of the arrays? Arrays is used to store a lot of things in a single variable. Does that make any sense?
Yeah.
Okay, great. So let us declare an array, and so I'm going to say let, and let's make it fruits. Okay, let's make the variable name as fruits. So now we have a lot of fruits, so we want it to store in a single place. So how do you declare an array? How do you make an array? By using square brackets. Okay, the moment you put square bracket, it means that now we are going to start an array. Okay, so inside these square brackets, so what would be the data type of fruit is? What do you think the data type of fruit is? Like we have apple, mango, and so on. So what's the data type? Like you want to write apple or maybe mango or whatever the fruits we have. So what would be the data type? Is it going to be a number, a boolean, an integer, or what?
Would it be a letter?
And what is a letter? Like, what's the data type of a letter is? It's a string. Okay, the fruit is going to be a string, because let's say we have apple, so we have five letters combined. So how do we write strings? Using quotation marks. So let's say I'm going to say apple. So this is my first entry. So how do you write another entry after getting outside of these parentheses, quotation marks? I'm going to put a comma here. Now this comma separates the entries we have in array. Let's say apple, and then I'm going to say mango, and then let's say banana, and maybe let's say orange. Now we have all of these fruits stored in a single variable. Okay, let us console log this variable to see what's happening. I'm going to say console.log and fruits. Save it, go back, and now we have what? We have an array that is holding all of our fruits inside it in a single variable. Okay, does that make any sense?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, great. Now let's say, how would I access a single element inside this array? For example, we have 4 elements, and when I call the fruits, it gets me all of these things that are inside this array. Now I just want to have an apple, like I just want to access the apple. So how do we do that? We do that using indexes. Okay, we always access the arrays using indexes. And what are indexes? Indexes are numbers that are, or maybe you can say IDs, that are assigned to each element in an array. And indexes always starts from 0. Okay, that's why we, in the previous class I said that loop always starts from 0, because arrays indexes start from 0. Okay, so what if I want to access mango? What is the index of mango?
1.
1, exactly. What about orange?
3.
3, exactly. So let's say I want to access banana. So how do I do that? What's the index? First we have to locate the index. We have to know the index. So what's the index?
2.
2. So how do I access it? I'm gonna go inside the console log, and then where I'm console logging fruits, this is going to get me all of the array. We just want the banana, so I'm gonna go inside this fruits, after the fruits, and I'm gonna put square brackets, and then I'll put the index I want to access, and that is 2. So what this is going to do is it's going to get me the fruits, and after getting the fruits, it's going to get me only the second index. So we'll have banana, just like that. How would I access if I want to get apple? How do I get apple?
0.
0. So I'm gonna say 0. So we'll have apple. So how would I access apple and mango? How do I do that? Take a guess.
You would have to put. Would it be 0, comma 1?
Yeah, it should be like that, but the only problem is it's not. So we have to sort out something else. Like, we can only put one letter inside these square brackets. Like, we can only access one element at a time. So what should we do? We have to put console log again. So I'm gonna say fruits, and then let's say 1. So that's gonna get me the 0th index and the 1st index, so that is apple mango. And similarly, if I want to get the second index, I'm gonna do this. We'll have banana, and then the 3 will have this. What would happen if I were to have 4 here? What do you think would happen? Do we have a 4th index?
No.
No. So what would happen? Again, just take a guess. Like, I don't want an answer, I just want a guess.
Would it randomize?
No, not a random value, but a proper value. Think like a programmer. Like,
would it be an error?
Yeah, it should be an error. Yeah, it can be an error. Any other answers? Because it should be an error, because we don't have a 4th index. Okay, but JavaScript is gonna say that it is, wait, save it, and it is undefined. Undefined is also a data type. And what does undefined mean? Like, it just means undefined, like it's not defined,
like no value there.
Exactly, there's no value there, because we are accessing the fourth index, whereas in our array we have only 3 indexes. So that's why JavaScript is saying that we don't know what you're talking about, so that's why it's undefined. So now comes a question, and that is, we have two things. Okay, wait, we have two things. We have undefined, and you just saw what undefined is. Undefined. And we have another thing that is called null. So what you this is one of the interview question. Okay, what is the difference between undefined and null? Take a guess. What do you think the difference between undefined and null is? Like both of them
I
are
know
empty.
undefined means like no value
Okay, and what
that we
about
just
null?
discussed. Um, it also means no value.
Exactly.
Like
Yeah, yeah.
empty, like
Exactly.
nothing.
Both of them are empty. So what's the point? What's the difference? What's the point of creating two data types like undefined and null? What's the difference? The difference is really important. Undefined,
So like that, the one that's empty could be filled,
both of them can be filled
and the
again.
one that's undefined, it has no value at all.
Um, yeah, we can put it like that. Like the null can be filled, and undefined is always like undefined. Yeah, that is a very good explanation. That is one we can call it a definition. But the standard definition, the book definition is undefined is unintentional, whereas null is intentional. Okay, undefined means that we are trying to access something that is not present, and it's not intentional, like we don't know that it's present or not, whereas null is intentionally empty. Okay, we do it ourselves, like we put a variable and we assign a value of null to it, like it's null at the moment, but we are going to fill it later on, whereas undefined is unintentional. Okay, do you get the difference? Undefined is unintentional. Where's the M? Unintentional, where null is intentional. Okay, do you guys get that?
Yeah.
Okay, great. Yeah, okay, let's remove this last one. Okay, I have another question now. We are repeating the same thing again and again, and the only difference is the index inside it. Is that a logical approach? For example, we only have 4 entries here. What about if we have 4,000? Would we do it again and again? Like that, exactly, that doesn't make any sense. So everything is being repeated again and again. So what should we do? What do we do when we have, sorry? Exactly, we are going to do the loops. Why is that? Because this is being repeated again and again. So if something is being repeated again and again, we don't waste our resources, we just put a loop on it. So let me comment this out. No, I can't comment this out. Okay, so do you guys remember the for loop? Now tell me, how do I make a for loop happen? What's the syntax? Okay, go on. How do I do that? How do I write a for loop? Like I'm gonna loop on this fruit. So what's the syntax? For, and then parentheses, good, and then where do we start the value from? Okay, so where do we start the loop from? I'm gonna say let I. What would be the starting? Sorry, it's gonna be 0. Why is it going to be 0? Why not 1? Why is it always starts from 0? Like it's not mandatory, but we have to start it from 0. The reason is because the indexes start from 0. Okay, if you were to start it from 1, it's gonna go from this point. We want it to go from this point, so that's why it should always start from 0. Okay, so the second thing is, how long do we want to go? How long do we want it to go? While I is less than what? Exactly, the length of the array. and we don't have to manually calculate it. Like we are not going to do this 1 2 3 and 4. Like we want this loop to continue for 4 values. We're going to say fruits dot length. This is a built-in function that is going to get you the length of the fruit, the length of the array, not the fruit. Okay, so what is the length of the array? What's the length?
4.
4. And
Three.
what about, okay, 3 and 4, we have two answers. So give me the final one. Do we have 3 or do we have 4? Okay, let
It's
me let
4.
yeah,
Four.
let me give you a high hint. That is, indexes starts from 0, but length starts from 1. Okay, this is a really important concept. You have to remember that indexes starts from 0, but length starts from 1. So we have 4. The length of the array is 4, but again we don't have to manually calculate it. We're just going to do fruits dot length. Okay, it's going to get me the length. And what do we want to do after each iteration? Like the first one is going to be 0, then you wanted to move at 1, then 2, then 3. So what are we doing after each iteration?
Adding 1.
Adding 1. So how do we do that?
I
I and then
equals
plus
I
plus
plus 1.
I plus plus, that is going to do I plus 1. Okay, so how many times this loop is going to run for? How much times is going to run? Let me console log.
So 4 times?
Yeah, good, it's going to do 4 times. So let me do salam.
So it runs 4 times for each fruit?
It runs 4 times because the length of the array is 4. Okay, it's going to run as much as the length of array is. For example, if I were to increase this by, let's say, 1, and I'm going to say that we have pineapple here. So how many times would it run now? 5. Why? Because we have said that you should run unless the length of array is not completed. You have to run. So now we have 5. So it's going to run as much as the length of array is. Okay, this length function is going to calculate the length itself. Okay, now I want to access the array. So how do I access the array? I'm going to say fruits. So what's going to happen now?
It's going to have all of them.
Yeah, it's going to have all of them. How many times?
5.
5, exactly. So we have an array printed 5 times, but we don't want an array to be printed 5 times. We want the elements of an array to be printed 5 times. So how do we access a single element of an array?
The square
Yeah, after the fruits we're going to put
square
square
brackets.
brackets. And what do I put here? If I were to do 0, let's say, so what would happen now?
It will do the apple.
How many times?
1. No.
It's inside the loop, so it's going to run continuously for the 5 times.
5 times.
So we have apple 5 times. If I were to do 1, it's going to do mango 5 times. If you were to do, let's say, 3, what would it do now?
The orange.
The orange. Yeah, good. How many times? 5 times. But we don't want that. The first time it runs, I want apple. The second time I want mango, and then banana, and then orange, and then a pineapple. So basically we need to change this number on each iteration. So what is being changed again and again? What
That
is
number.
the number is being changed, but where is it stored? Where is the number stored? Which variable is being changed again and again?
The fruit.
Now what I meant
The
is
I.
the I. Yes, so I'm gonna put I here. So what's gonna happen now is, the first time the value of I is 0. Okay, in the second iteration is gonna get 1. In the third iteration is gonna get 2. In the fourth is gonna get 3. So basically this I is being changed again and again. Okay, how is it being changed? Let's see. In
So
the
is
first,
that I being changed like 1 by 1 according to the fruit?
not according to
Meaning it
fruits.
from 0 to 5?
Yeah, exactly. It's gonna go 0, not 5, 4, because it's gonna start from 0,
Oh,
and
yes, 4.
and it's gonna continue until it's less than 5. So basically in the first iteration it's going to be 0. So we are constantly logging fruits, and then the value of I in the first iteration is 0. So fruits and then 0. So it's going to get me apple. So in the second iteration the value of I is 1. So it's going to get me fruits and 1. So what would we have? Mango. Okay, and so on for all of the fruits. So let me save it, and now we have all of the fruits being printed without me console logging it again and again. Okay, now this one is kind of tricky, kind of difficult, so that's why JavaScript has made custom loops for fruits. Like JavaScript has created loops specially for arrays, okay, because we have a lot of work we do with arrays. So I'm going to comment it out, this one, this one, this one. I'm going to comment this out, and now we are going to study special loops that are only designed for the arrays. Okay, so I'm going to put comment here, special loops for arrays. We have two. Okay, we're going to only discuss we're only going to discuss one, because we'll discuss the other one in React when we study React, inshallah. So we have for each loop. The first one is for each, and the second one is map. Out of these two we are going to study for each. Now this is quite a simple loop, okay, but it's going to be a little difficult syntax in the starting. It's not difficult, it's just kind of tricky. Okay, so on which do we want to loop on? Which variable do we want to loop on? Like which variable do we want? The fruits, exactly. So what should we do? We're gonna say fruits. Okay, and then we want to add a special loop on this fruit. So I'm gonna say fruits dot for each. Okay, so basically what we are doing is we are putting a loop on fruits. Now this for each is a function. So if it's a function, what do I do now if it's a function? What do we have when we have a function? Like what do we put?
Parentheses.
Parentheses, good. Now it's a function. Okay, it's a function, and it's telling me what this function is going to take. It's a function that is going to take another function as a parameter. Okay, I'm going to do it again so it gets a little familiar. Okay, so which variable do we want to loop on? It's fruits. So I'm going to say fruits, and then I'm going to put a loop of for each on it. So how do I do that? How do I do it? How do I put the loop of for each on
You
fruits?
put
Dot.
space and for
No, not space. Dot. Okay, dot for and then each, camel casing. Okay, now for each is a function, so that's why we're going to put what?
parentheses.
Parentheses, good. Now this is a function, for each is a function that is going to take another function as a parameter. So how do we put functions? We put parentheses, and outside of these parentheses I'm going to put arrow, okay, because it's an arrow function, and then I'm going to put curly braces. So this is the syntax of for each. I'm going to repeat again. For each is a function that is going to take another function as a parameter. Okay, I'm going to remove it again and we'll write it again so we have a lot of familiarity with what we are doing. Okay, so what do we want to loop on? We want to loop on fruits, and we want to use special loops that is built for arrays only. So I'm going to say fruits dot for each. Okay, now for each is a function that is going to take what?
Another function.
Another function as a parameter. So I've put parentheses here. Now what do I put?
They equal.
Equal, like this.
And you go out. You go
Yeah,
out of
we
the
have to go.
parentheses.
Yes, good.
And you
And
put
then
the arrow.
equals to, and then
Arrow.
arrow, and then
Curly
curly
braces.
brackets, and that's it. That's the syntax for the for each. Okay, now if you were to compare this with this is much shorter plus much efficient. Why is that? because it's auto going to calculate what's the length, what's the whatever the elements are present inside the array. Okay, now one last thing remains in this for each. The internal function is going to take two parameters from us. The internal function, okay, this one. The first parameter, you can name it again whatever you want, okay, it doesn't matter, whatever you want to put you can do that. So I'm going to say item, comma, and then it's going to take two parameters, okay, item, and then I'm going to say index. So what are these two parameters for? The first parameter is going to hold each element of your array. Which array? The one you are looping on. So each element of this fruits array is going to be stored inside this first parameter. And what are the elements of this fruits array? What are the elements of this fruits array?
It's like the fruit itself, like apple, mango,
Yes, exactly, good,
banana.
exactly. So all of these are stored where? Inside the first parameter. Like this item now holds each fruit you have in this array, and the second is going to hold what? Like the name itself is saying what it's going to hold. What is going? The index is number. So I'm going to say, let's say console.log, and then I'm going to say item. So what would you see?
The fruits.
The fruits one by one. So we have the same output. Now if we were to compare this with this one is a lot optimized as compared to this one. And what if we want to access indexes as well? So inside the console log I'm going to put comma and then index as well. So it's going to show me the indexes with this as well. Okay, I'm going to do it one more time. Let's do it with, let's do it with numbers now. I'm going to put comment here. Okay, so I'm going to say let nums is equals to, this one is going to hold numbers. Let me put sensible numbers. Okay, now I want to see all of the numbers one by one. So what should I do? Like if I were to do, let's say this console.log nums, what's going to happen? What would happen now if I were to do this? Yes, it's going to show all of the array. Okay, it's going to show all of the array, like each element of the array. We don't want that. We want to see elements one by one. So if I were to do this, what will I see? What will I see if I do this?
You see 4.
Yeah, we'll see 4. Good. Why is that? Because this 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. So we have 4. If I were to do this, what will we see now? 2, exactly. But now we want to see each element one by one. So what do? We put a loop on the nums array. And what is the special loop we are going to use? What's the special loop for the arrays? For each. Yeah. So tell me the syntax. Like how do I write it? You can take a peek here and tell me then. Nums, yeah, nums, and then dot for each. Good. Then it's a function, yeah, that is going to take another function. Good. And then sorry, yeah, outside this we're gonna have an arrow and then curly braces. Good. And this internal function is gonna take two things from us. And what are those two things? Yeah, is it mandatory to write items? No, you can write whatever you want. So let's say I'm going to change it this time. So I'm going to say number, and the second one I'm going to say idx. Okay, short for index. Like again, whatever you want to put. So what does this number holds now? The numbers. Basically whatever the arrays, whatever the numbers are present in the arrays, like it holds the elements of this nums array. And what are the elements of this nums array? 2 4 3 2 4 5 6. So if I were to do this console.log, and I'm going to say number, will have all of the numbers placed. Okay, so let's do an interview question. So wait, let me reduce the number of arrays, number of elements. Okay, so the question in interview is as follows, and that is, we have an array, and now I want you to sum me the output of this array. Like what would be the sum of this array? So how can we do that? Okay, I'm gonna do it, and I want you to pay like really close attention. So we have this array, now I want to sum this array. So what do you think, what would be the approach? What would be our approach to do that? Like we want to sum it like this. I'm gonna say, I want to do this. I'm gonna say nums and then 0 index plus nums and then 1 index plus nums and then 2 index. So it's gonna get me the sum of this array. But we don't want that because we are repeating it again and again. We don't want that. So what should we do? Now pay like a really close attention. So I'm going to say let sum. I'm going to take another variable, and I'm going to say it's 0 by default. Okay, the variable of sum is 0. Now I'm going to put a loop on this array. So I'm going to say nums dot forEach. It's a function that is going to take another function, and let's make this function, and inside the second function, internal function, we're going to have two variables, two parameters. So I'm going to say, let's say item, as you can say item and index. So now this item holds all of the numbers that are present inside this array. Now what do we want to do is, we want to get these numbers and add it to this sum variable. Like in each iteration, I want the numbers inside the item to be added to this sum variable. Okay, first of all, let me do this. If I were to do this, let's say I'm going to say sum plus plus, and outside the loop I'm going to say console.log sum. What would be the output? I want you to take your time. Okay, take like 2 minutes or 1 minute to 2 minutes, and then tell me the output. Read it like a computer. Take your time. Did you guys get an answer?
I mean the sum plus plus will add 1 to each.
Yeah, exactly. Good. It's gonna add, no, not each. It's gonna add 1 to this sum variable.
Yeah, so it will be let sum equals 0, and then the sum plus plus would be 1.
Okay.
Uh,
Okay, let me give you a hint. How many times is this process being repeated? Like this is inside a loop.
it's 3 times.
Very good. So what will be the output? Basically we're adding 1 to this sum variable 3 times. So what's gonna be?
It would be 9.
We're adding 1 3 times to this sum variable. We're adding only 1 to this sum variable. Okay, what does this plus plus indicates? It means add 1, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so how many times is this being repeated? 3 times, exactly, yes. So the first time, the initial value of sum is 0. So the first time it repeats, the value of sum becomes 1. Okay, okay. Then the second time this loop iterates, is gonna be again add 1 to the previous value. So now we have 2. Again it repeats. So now what do we have? 3. So what would be the final value, and then the loop ends because we have only 3 values. It iterates only 3 times. So what would be the output? 3. Because this sum plus plus, that is adding 1 to sum, is only repeated 3 times. Okay, now tell me the output. What would be the output now? We're saying do a loop on nums. Exactly, good. It's gonna be 6 because this loop is being repeated 6 times, and the condition inside the loop is that we have to add 1 each time the loop starts. So basically we have 6 times the loop is being continued, so we have 6 in the output. So what's going to happen now? Plus equal 3, like it's gonna add 3 each time. So what will be the output now? 18. Good. So we have 18 now. So what would be the output now? Now this one is kind of tricky. First, before answering me this question, answer me this. What is inside the item? The numbers of the array. That is 2, 4, 3, 32, 12, 32. So basically what we are doing is we are saying that take the previous value of sum and add whatever the value of we have, whatever the item value is, and item is what? The numbers. Let me remove this so we can have a little more explanation here. So I'm going to console log the sum inside the loop so we can see what's happening on each iteration. So first time it's 2. Why is it 2? Because the value of sum is 0. The first time loop runs, so we have 0 plus the what's the first value in the array? What is the first? No. What's the first value in the array? 2. So basically what's going to happen, the first time loop runs is 0 plus 2. So basically 0 plus 2, the value of sum is now 2. Okay, so basically now the sum is holding 2. Now the loop runs again. What's the second value of item? Like what's the second value of this item? 4. So what's the value of sum after the first loop? After the first iteration, what's the value of sum? Like it adds 0 plus 2, so we have 2 in the sum. So we have 6. Yeah. So we have the value of wait, what's the value of, wait, let me remove this one. So first we have, let me do it again. Okay, so the value of sum is 0. So here loop runs. Okay, so what we are saying is take the previous value of sum and equal it to whatever is in the item. So first time loop runs, the value of item is 2, so it's going to take 0. Yeah.
So what you're doing is you're looking at each loop and you're adding it, like the first one will be 0 plus 2, and the second one is 2 plus 4.
Yeah, exactly. And the third one would be?
And the third one will be 9, because it's 6 plus 3.
Yes,
No,
exactly.
Yeah, so it's 4 plus 4.
Not 4 plus, 6 plus 3.
6 plus 3.
Yes,
Yeah, which is 9.
exactly. That's exactly what's happening. Okay, so this is called basically DSA. This approach comes in DSA, which is basically a really big concept in programming called data structures and algorithm. So what we have did here is it's an algorithm that basically adds our number. Okay, it's going to continue adding our number. Okay, so this is an algorithm, and we'll have
If there was more numbers, then the sum will keep adding like each value.
exactly, yes. For example, let's do this.
Continue. Okay.
It's,
Okay.
okay, it's going to continue for each number. It's going to do it for each number. So we have first time it's going to be 2, and then it's going to add 2 plus 4. We have 6, and then it's going to be 2 plus 4 plus 3. It's going to be 9, and then it's going to be 2 plus 4 plus 3 plus 1. We'll have 10, and then again 2 plus 4 plus 3 plus 1 plus 4, 14, and then 14 plus 3 will have 17, and then 3 plus 2 will have 19. Okay, so this is one of, you can say, as an intermediate level of data structure, intermediate level of algorithm. Okay, and if you were to get this algorithm, you guys can call yourself intermediate programmers, like real programmers, because up until now we were just studying the designing languages. This one is a real programming language. So if you get this concept, well, that's really good. As a beginner, that's really good, because this is one of the, you can see, intermediate level of problems we have in algorithms and data structures. Okay, so this was just the basics of our arrays. Okay, so one homework is going to be this, and the second one is going to be, just like we did the sum part, you have to do the multiplication part. Like you have to multiply each item in an array. Okay, you have to do multiplication just like we did sum here. And multiplication is going to be a little difficult, so you have to, use your logic without taking the help from AI, because it's going to spoil the fun. Okay, use your own logics, use your own whatever you're doing, so you have to use your own logic. Okay, so this was the basics of our arrays, and we're going to continue exploring arrays as we continue with our course. Okay. Okay, so now we have one last topic remaining for JavaScript. Okay, arrays are not finished. Okay, just like HTML, CSS is not finished, similarly arrays are not finished. Arrays are a really big concept in JavaScript. So inshallah we'll be continuing the arrays later on in our course. So let's study the last topic, and that is objects. Okay, this is the last topic of our boring JavaScript, and inshallah we'll have a really fun part, fun topic, fun class tomorrow, because we're going to be seeing actual functionality implemented on the website. Okay, so I'm going to ask you a question that I've just answered maybe at the start of the class. What should we do? What do we do when we want to store a lot of things in a single place? What do we use?
Arrays.
Arrays. Good. We use arrays when we have a lot of things that we want to store in a single place. Now, what are objects? Objects are basically like arrays. They are used to store a lot of things, but a small difference. Arrays are used to store a lot of different things, whereas objects are used to store a lot of properties that belongs to a single thing. Okay, for example, what do I mean when I say this? For example, okay, yeah. For example, all of these are books. Okay, this is book 1, this is book 2, this is book 3, and this is book 4. So which data structure, which thing do we use to store all of these books? What do we use to store all of these books?
Array.
Arrays. Good. We are going to use arrays to store all of these books. But now tell me, books have a lot of properties, like its name, its title, its genre, and whatever we have. Okay, like all of these properties, like let's say we have 3 properties. We have title, we have author, and we have rating. We have 3 properties. All of these 3 properties belong to how many books? How many books does it belong to?
The
These
4 books. One.
One book, exactly. All of these properties
Oh.
belong to one book. We have title, we have author, and we have rating. Now all of these books belong to a single book. So when we want to store these kind of stuff, like a lot of properties that belong to a single thing, we use what? We use objects. Do you guys get the basic difference of arrays and objects?
Yeah.
Okay, so basically what are arrays? When you want to store what? When do we use arrays?
The list of items.
Yeah, list of items.
Multiple elements.
Yeah, exactly, when we want to store a lot of elements. And what about objects?
Singular.
It's not singular. We have multiple things here as well. So when do we use objects? Like this, that knowing the difference between these two is really important. Okay,
I
all
mean,
of
objects has more details.
details about what?
is a single element but multiple properties.
Exactly, yes, good. When you want to store multiple properties that belong to a single element, you use objects. And when you want to store a lot of elements, you use arrays. And when you want to store a lot of properties that belong to a single element, you use objects. Okay, so let me give you a basic difference of objects and arrays. So let's say we have again book. Okay, we have book. Now book have a lot of properties. So what do we use? We use objects. So how do we declare objects? We use curly braces. Now these curly braces are used to declare objects. Okay, now inside these objects we have two things. We have key, and for equality we use colons, and we have value. Okay, what are the properties of book? Give me three properties, just like we discussed just a moment before.
Title,
Yeah.
author.
So we have title. So how do we equal it? We're not going to use equal sign. In order to equal something in object, you use colons. Okay, so title is, let's say, one of my favorite is, let's say, 40. Okay, and let's say, and then we have author, and let's give the name of author, and then we have the ratings. So I'm going to say ratings, and then for equality I'm going to use colons, and ratings is going to be a number. So let's say this. So now we have a lot of properties, they're not a lot, but again we have multiple properties that belong to a single thing. Okay, so how do I access it? I'm going to say console.log and then book. So what do you think we would have?
The book.
You're gonna have all of the
title?
properties.
Yeah, good. We're going to have all of the properties. Like we have, now these one are curly braces. Okay, we have author, we have ratings, and we have title. Okay, just like in arrays, we used to access a single element using indexes like 0, 1, 2, 3, and 4. How do we do it in objects? Like objects do not work on indexes because we don't have any indexes, because all of these belong to a single thing, so we don't have an index. So how do we access objects? We use, I'm going to do it again. So if I want to access book, I'm going to say book. Now if I want to access a specific thing inside an object, I use dot. Okay, this full stop or dot is used to access the objects. So if I want to have this title, so what do I write? Book dot, and then I want to have title. So book dot
Title.
Good. We'll have the 40 rules of law. What if I want to have the author?
Control.
Book
You have
the author.
Book dot author. Good.
Are you supposed to write them separately or all in one?
You can write it like this, like comma and then book dot and then title. You can write it like this, okay? Or you can basically do different console logs. Okay, and what?
Oh, this one is easier.
Do you have a question?
No, I said this one is easier when it's all in one.
Yeah, but it's gonna be a little difficult when it's basically progresses. Okay, so if I were to have ratings, so how do I do that? Book dot ratings. Okay, so that's how we access the object. Okay, so your homework is gonna be a little tricky because you have to structure the backend for the Amazon books. So wait, let me show you something. Let me show you an actual backend data. Okay, I'm gonna say API dot GitHub. Where's the I? GitHub dot. Not this. What do you see on your screen is an actual data that is being sent from the backend from the database. What do you see? First you have an, what is this? Which brackets do they refer to? Like which element do they refer to?
Array.
Array, good. And what about this?
Object.
Object. So this is how the data from the backend comes. So what we have right in front of us is a list of users. So we have a lot of users. So what do we use to store them? Like we have a lot of users.
Array.
Array. So basically what it's doing is using array to store all of these users. Look, this is the data that is being stored, and all of it is being stored in the arrays. Now each user has a lot of properties, like it has the login, it has the ID, the node ID, avatar URL, gravatar URL, URL, and so on. Like we have a lot of properties, and all of these properties belong to a single user. So what are we using to store that? Object. And that's exactly what you have to do. How? Let me give you a really amazing homework. So we have Amazon here. I'm gonna search for books. Okay, so for the homework, you are gonna do this. Take maybe, let's say 10 book. Oh, no, not 10. 10 is gonna be too much. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, or maybe 7. You have to prepare a database, kind of like a database for 7 books. Like you want to store 7 books in a single place. So what should you use? What will you use if you want to store 7 books in a single place?
Array.
Array, good. So you have to use arrays to store the 7 books in a single place. And each book has different properties, like it has an image, it has a title, it has a rating, it has this price. So all of these things belong to a single book. So what will you use in order to store that?
Object.
Objects. So that's exactly what you have to do. You have to prepare an array, and inside that array,
Any books?
yeah, totally, it can be any books, but it has to be around 8 books. Okay.
Sorry, what the?
It can be any books, and you have to prepare 8 books. Okay, it should be at least 8, like 8 books. It can be any books, okay, but the number should be 8. Okay, so each book is going to have different properties. So you would have a data structure similar to this one, like an array, and inside that array you would have objects. So that's your homework. Okay, the first homework is this, the sum variables and the multiplication. Okay, and the second one is you have to prepare an array of objects, like an array that has 8 books, and each book has 8 different properties.
Okay.
Any questions?
No.
Okay, great. Inshallah, we'll have another class tomorrow, and tomorrow's class is going to be really fun because you would see actual output being implemented on your screen, like the real essence of JavaScript. Okay, so yeah, that's it. If there's no questions, you guys can leave. Thank you. Allah Hafiz.
Love it.
Allah Hafiz.